officially been reported that you're not going to throw. How you feel?
Well, it was a lot to go into that decision of not throwing. Like, I'm on a strict program, and I wanted to focus more on interviews and getting to meet these coaches and GMs and everybody, and them having any questions for me being there. So it was just like a focus thing. Like, I want them to be able to focus on, just having conversation, being able to talk, being able to see if we see eye to eye, if they, even like me overall as a person first, regardless of what they see online or anything. Then the next step is, okay, they'll be able to see me throw. I'll be on the 30 visit, then they'll be able to see me throw pro day, then they'll have a private workout also. So it's just no point in just rushing the process. Like, we have a game plan.
Sometimes when it looks like you're losing, God is setting you up for the big win. You just have to be patient and wait it out. Shedeur Sanders, Deion Sanders' son, the Heisman Trophy winner, was supposed to go first round of the draft, didn't go until the 5th round. Day 3, they are laughing at him. They got memes about him. Ain't no one picking Shedeur. Are they trying to blackball Deion's son? He finally got drafted 5th round. People laughing at him, right? Although he got drafted 5th round, Shedeur Sanders had the #1 selling jersey in his class. He gets drafted to Cleveland. Cleveland is paying him no mind, baby. It's like he's getting no playing time. But today, Shedeur Sanders started today and made history. The first quarterback to start a game and actually win. But here's the crazy part. All of the hate, all the criticism, all of the analysts talking about him, all of the heat that Shedeur has gotten as a kid, he has always remained faithful to his faith, to Jesus. He has always remained positive, but more importantly, he has always bet on himself. So where am I going with this? I don't care how dark it is. I don't care what you're going through. I don't care who counted you out. As long as you got some hustle, as long as you believe in yourself and you got Jesus, you can overcome anything, but more important, you can come back and go get your win. See you at the bank.
Shedeur, you told us that this week felt like you were getting back to normal, being a starting quarterback, like you have your whole career, but this is going to be your first NFL start. What does that opportunity feel like in this moment?
Feels good, but we cool, calm, collective like. This ain't nothing to us.
And what do you hope to show against this Raiders defense, your teammates, yourself, and these Browns fans with your play today?
I'm who they've been looking for. Appreciate it.
So that 5th round label that they hung around Shedeur Sanders' neck on draft day did a number on him, just like we knew it would.
Everybody knows how to develop a quarterback. You're assuming that you're going into a program. I mean, I'm telling you, there's a lot of people who have no idea what they're doing when they're tasked with coaching a quarterback or calling an offense. So are you saying, just like we'd rank quarterbacks 1 to 32, do you rank offensive coordinators 1 to 32? Do you rank quarterback coaches 1 to 32?
144 picks. That's how many times an NFL team had the chance to call Shedeur Sanders' name and chose someone else. Round 1, silent. Round 2, silent. Round 3, silent. Round 4, silent. And the whole time, cameras were on his face. The world was watching. Some people were laughing. Some were shaking their heads. The analysts had already written his story for him. But here's what nobody tells you. God wasn't done writing it yet. And if you think this is just a football story, you're about to find out it's so much bigger than that. Hit that subscribe button right now, because this is the kind of story that only comes around once in a generation. Let's get into it.
Our media did. We all talked about it. We were on these shows. We all talked about how Dylan Gabriel was ready to play. The articles are written.
G. Bush, what are you talking about?
Dylan Gabriel is a better quarterback right now than Shedeur Sanders. That's plain and simple. Not many 5th-round draft picks get this kind of attention, and granted, it has to do with Deion.
But one of the reasons why Gabriel popped while I was watching him is I watched Shedeur and I watched Dart and then I watched Gabriel. And I watched Dart and Sanders when they were under pressure, the same concerns that we've mentioned.
Before we talk about where Shedeur Sanders is going, we need to talk about where they tried to leave him. The moment the draft ended and his name finally came off the board in round 5, the narrative machine went into overdrive. Analysts who had spent months telling you he wasn't good enough suddenly had a new talking point. See, the league was right. They pointed to his pressure numbers. They pointed to his sack rate. They said he held the ball too long. They said he couldn't move in the pocket. They said he was only famous because of his father. And one of the loudest debates? They were literally on air, arguing about whether Dillon Gabriel, a name most casual fans had never even heard, was already a better quarterback than Shedeur Sanders. Think about that for a second. A guy who hadn't taken a single NFL snap, and they were already crowning someone else. They said, and I'm not making this up, Dillon Gabriel is a better quarterback right now than Shedeur Sanders. It's plain and simple. Plain and simple. They had already made up their minds. The trial was over before the first game was ever played. But here's the thing about narratives. They don't care about data. They don't care about context. They just need to be repeated loud enough and long enough until people believe them. And that's exactly what happened to Shedeur Sanders. Now let's talk about what the numbers actually say, because this is where it gets real. Shedeur Sanders was pressured on 46% of his dropbacks in his rookie season. Let that sink in. Nearly half the time he dropped back to throw, a defender was in his face. The league average? 26.5%. That means Shedeur Sanders was operating under almost double the pressure of the average NFL quarterback, and nobody on those sports shows was leading with that stat when they were tearing him apart. But wait, it gets deeper. You know what the worst pressure rate in recent NFL history looks like for a quarterback? Around 39%. That's considered a historically bad situation. Shedeur was at 46%.
All right, look at this. Sanders was pressured on 46% of his dropbacks. That is not a little bad. That is nearly half the time that he drops back. The league average is 26.5%. So before you blame the quarterback, you have to admit reality that the pocket is collapsing constantly. Then people say every rookie struggles like this. No, they don't. Look at the rookie comparison. Other rookies are living in the mid-20s to low 30s pressure range. Sanders is at 46%. That's not the same problem. That is an entirely different sport.
That's not a bad offensive line. That's not a rough patch. That is a historically abnormal situation that no quarterback in recent memory has had to survive, let alone a rookie trying to find his footing in the NFL. And yet, here's what makes this story different from just a bad team story. Despite all of that pressure, his sack conversion rate was 15%. The league average is 21%. What does that mean? It means when pressure came, and it came constantly, Shedeur Sanders was actually avoiding sacks better than the average NFL quarterback. He wasn't the problem. He was the one holding the whole thing together. His clean pocket percentage? 32%. League average is 58%. He received a clean pocket half as often as everyone else, and people were sitting on TV asking why he wasn't performing like a top 5 pick. You cannot evaluate a quarterback's pocket presence when he almost never gets a clean pocket. That's not analysis. That's a setup. And deep down, a lot of those people knew it. But let's step away from the stats for a moment, because the football stuff, as unfair as it wasn't even the hardest part. Think about what Shedeur Sanders walked into that draft room carrying. His entire life, he's been Deion's son first, and himself second in the eyes of the public. Every throw he made in college, people questioned whether it was his talent or his dad's program. Every award, every completion percentage, every win, there was always a footnote. But would he be this good without Deion? And then the draft came, the moment that was supposed to be his, the moment the world was supposed to see Shedeur Sanders, not the son, not the brand, not the spectacle, just the quarterback. And they took that moment from him, round after round after round. There's a reason that footage of him sitting there, waiting, phone silent, hit people so hard. Because everyone watching understood something in that moment that doesn't require a single word of explanation. We've all waited for something we deserved. We've all sat in silence while people who were supposed to see our value looked right past us. And Shedeur Sanders sat there in front of the whole country and lived that moment in real time. That is not just a football story. That is a human story. But here's where the story turns. Here's where God's plan starts showing itself. Because Cleveland didn't just draft Shedeur Sanders in the 5th round and move on. They cleaned house. They brought in a new head coach, Todd Monken, a coach who didn't just want to work with Shedeur, a coach who was excited to work with him, who recruited him, who already had an established relationship and a clear vision.
I mean, God's patient with us as humans. We mess up at times, but I don't feel like he throw us away as individuals. So it's different things and different life lessons, you got to go through. And I haven't went through this situation, that I'm in ever. So it's really just a test, I feel like from God or whoever it's from, it's just a test. But anyway, I'm just thankful that I was able to see the day of light and get out there and be able to play. So, they didn't have to let me play.
Well, couple years. Have you heard from your new head coach, Todd Monken, yet? Bro, I have, and bro, honestly, like, it's not what I thought it would have been. Well, when I say that in a good way,
what did you think it was going to be?
I thought he was going to be like more so like, cause my past coach, bro, he was like really even keel, bro, like super quiet. I thought I was going to get that from Coach Monken, but it wasn't that. Like, he was like a real players coach, bro. Like, like give me a hug, like all that, bro. So he was just super communicative of what he wanted from the team, what his goal is, what his objective is, what he want to come in.
And when Shedeur was asked about his first conversation with Coach Monken, his answer told you everything. He said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that he expected a quiet, even-keel coach. What he got was a player's coach, someone who gave him a hug, someone who was communicative, vocal, and crystal clear about the vision. He knows exactly what he wants, Shedeur said, and I think that's what's important. That matters more than people realize. Quarterbacks don't just need talent. They don't just need weapons or a good offensive line, though those things help. What they need most is a system that believes in them, a coaching staff that is invested in their success, an environment where they can breathe, make mistakes, grow, and ultimately become who they were always meant to be. Shedeur Sanders never had that in Cleveland last year. Now, for the first time in his NFL career, he does. And here's what the people around that Browns locker room are already saying. The energy is different. Players want to come to work. There's an excitement that wasn't there before. And at the center of that energy, number 2, Shedeur Sanders. Now I want you to think about something. Every great quarterback story, every single one, has a chapter that looked like failure before it looked like greatness. Tom Brady was a 6th-round pick. Nobody wanted him either. Patrick Mahomes sat and watched his first year. People questioned whether he was ready. And now, a young man who was told by 32 franchises, by analysts, by the entire media machine that he wasn't worth a 1st-round pick is walking into a new season with a coach who believes in him, a fan base that's paying attention, and something to prove that most quarterbacks never get the chance to prove. They gave him the 5th-round label. They put it around his neck like a weight. But weights don't break the right people. They build them. The offensive linemen who came in for pre-draft meetings, when scouts asked them about the quarterbacks, you know who they brought up first? Shedeur Sanders. Not because of his dad, not because of the cameras, because of what they saw on film, because of what they saw in the pocket under impossible conditions. The people closest to the game, the ones blocking, the ones in the trenches, they already knew. The rest of the world is just catching up. They skipped him 144 times. They questioned his name, his bloodline, his ability, his future. And through all of it, Shedeur Sanders didn't say a word. Because when God has a plan for you, you don't have to defend it. You just have to show up. And this season, he's about to show up in a way that nobody, not the analysts, not the doubters, not the people who passed on him, is going to be able to ignore. The story isn't over. In fact, it's just getting started. If this video hit different, smash that subscribe button and drop a comment below. Do you believe Shedeur Sanders is about to prove everyone wrong this season? Let me know. I'll see you in the next one.